Welcome to your weekend review here on WINN FM 98.9 for the period January 6th through 11th, 2025. Making the news last week.
Land acquisition issue causes delay in constructing St. Peter's bus station.
St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister admonishes social media posts inventing murders.
Ras Iroy protests that the demand for boys to cut their hair is a sexist rule. Animals grazing at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. Brantley calls it a lack of responsibility. Malachi Ferguson, a star gone too soon.
Now, the details.
As the Federation's Citizenship by Investment program faces increasing international scrutiny, many are questioning whether it's time to focus on leveraging existing economic citizens to drive the country's development. This perspective is gaining traction among both politicians and the public. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Roux shares this view, which he discussed in a recent edition of the Round Table.
Following through on the comments made with regards to CBI, in relation to the fact that last year significant changes were made that affected the income flows. And now we are talking about limiting perhaps the number of economic citizens of the country. However, in doing that, can we then say that we need to transition now, not so much about getting new persons coming into the program, but attempting to see who among those already economic citizens can possibly become investors in our country? Would that be one of the focuses starting from this year going forward?
As a matter of fact, that's an excellent question. That has started before. You know, we had the Gateway Summit, the inaugural Gateway Summit last year. That summit targets our citizens by investment and asks them to come into the country and look at investment opportunities. And I can say the date for next year has already been determined. So it will also be next year in May. And so that again, we are targeting our citizens to come to St. Kitts and Nevis to see what we have to offer so they can make other investments in the country. So we are doing that as well, seeking to do that. So we know that we have some citizens by investment who are very wealthy people, who are investors. And so we are reaching out to encourage them to invest again in St. Kitts and Nevis after the first investment, which can be a lucrative investment.
The Federation has seen declining revenues from the CBI program after several changes were implemented to maintain compliance with international standards, including visa waiver agreements with other countries. Despite these adjustments, the country remains heavily reliant on the CBI for government revenue and funding for many social programs. This growing dependency has sparked concerns about the long-term sustainability of the program to maintain economic activity. Leader of the opposition, Mark Brantley, has been an advocate for rethinking the country's approach. In a recent interview with WINN FM, he highlighted the saturation of the market with economic citizens, many of whom are not contributing significantly to the nation's development.
So we have this core, but we have ignored them in large measure. And I keep begging and saying, listen, this iteration, this framework that we have currently for CBI, in my humble opinion, if it's not yet dead, it is on life support. What we now need to talk about is our existing citizens, those who are citizens from the Citizenship by Investment program, but also our citizens in the diaspora who are come from descent and all of that. We need to focus in a laser-like way on who we have already and say, how can you contribute? How can we leverage your education, your money, your acumen, that vast reservoir of intellectual capacity that we have out there? How can that be brought to bear? And that, I think, will be a huge step forward in terms of the diversification of our local economy.
Brantley, while speaking on a recent edition of Inside the News, called for greater diversification of the economy, emphasizing the need to focus on sectors like renewable energy, infrastructure development, and agriculture as critical areas for growth.
We have not done nearly enough, and we need now to scale up and to speed up what we're doing to get us to a point where if tomorrow the EU or America or somebody were to put out again some advisory or whatever in relation to our CBI, we can say, well, CBI may not be performing as well. But listen, we have energy, we have agriculture, we have our citizens in the diaspora, including our CBI citizens, contributed in a significant way. We are moving forward. I won't even bother to get into cannabis because even though I don't use cannabis, I recognize the tremendous economic value we can get from it. And we've been talking about cannabis now for a decade in this country. Not a thing has happened.
Brantley stressed the importance of shifting focus towards sustainability, homegrown solutions to foster long-term development.
At the vast sums of money that have poured into St. Kitts and Nevis through the Citizenship by Investment Program, we have never had clear numbers because no government, including the one that I was a part of, ever gave a clear breakout of what the numbers are. But from our extrapolation and investigation on the island of Nevis, we put that at in excess of 5.5 billion EC dollars. And that's with a B, billion EC dollars in the last decade or so. 5.5 billion EC dollars. And I say within the last decade, let me correct that because those numbers were assessed somewhere in 2022. Since then, we have earned probably nearly another billion or so EC dollars. So you ask the question, what have we done with those resources? Yes, we've paid down the debt, and that is good. Yes, we've paid some double salaries, and people jump up and say, hippie hooray, they got more money. But where have you seen the investment in sustainability?
During the January 7th, 2025 broadcast of the Roundtable, a journalist raised a pivotal question about the specific measures included in the 2025 budget to support young people. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew, explained how the budget aims to serve the nation's youth, addressing their aspirations and concerns in critical areas such as education, employment, and entrepreneurship.
In the area of education, you would recognize that the Minister of Education would have presented, but we have increased the budget for education, or increased the budget allocation amount for education, because we believe that education should be as accessible as possible from the preschool level all the way up to the college or tertiary level.
This commitment to education reflects the government's overarching vision to ensure that secondary and college education in St. Kitts and Nevis is free, with preschool education available at no charge to some and heavily subsidized for others. Prime Minister Drew noted that the investment in education is intended to ensure that all children have access to quality schooling. He further explained that several initiatives would support young people in achieving tertiary education, including an expanded opportunity for financial support from Development Bank. In addition to bolstering education, the Prime Minister announced new initiatives to foster entrepreneurship. He revealed plans for a small business facility that will provide resources directly from central government to the Development Bank, which will in turn benefit many aspiring entrepreneurs.
We are expanding small business so that more of our people can have access.
One notable program mentioned was the Aspire program, which aims to educate youth on financial management, budgeting, and starting a small business.
There's money allocated for this Aspire program that will benefit 10.5 million young people. The only place in the Caribbean, I think, not the only place in the Western Hemisphere, even if you go from Canada all the way down to Chile, Argentina, at the tip of South America, you'll realize that we have this program as a program that is only in St. Kitts and Nevis, where young people get an account where they save and they will be able to buy shares into companies. So even before they leave school, they are accumulating wealth with the education that goes with it.
In addition to financial initiatives, Prime Minister Drew introduced a forthcoming cybersecurity training program.
We are expanding TVET, for example. This is vocational training. Recently, we had 3 persons from the Elevate program who graduated from AVIC.
Further enduring initiatives include vocational training and education, TVET, which aims to train youth in critical skills. The Prime Minister reflected on recent graduations from the Elevate program, highlighting the success of this transformative initiative.
First time in history, they graduated as part of Elevate program, the transformation of what they used to call the Peace program. 2 in business, 1 in construction technology. And so we're going to train much more this year.
As the Prime Minister continued to explore the budget's focus on creative industries, he praised the youth energy witnessed during the recent carnival celebrations. This illustrates how youth engagement in these cultural expressions showcases the potential for substantial job creation in the future.
Carnival was an expression of the success of the creative economy. You see the amount of young people and Macajumbi sticks, as we stay here, the actors, the clowns, the masquerades. It was rich. When you look at the children's carnival, it was a reflection of the great work in the creative space. So many young people being exposed and participating. When you look at the shows, it's because people are being exposed so they can represent themselves well on the stage.
He acknowledged the accomplishments of young individuals in this space, specifically referencing Caitlin Wilson, who won a prominent title locally and another regionally, to be crowned Miss Haynes-Smith at the end of December 2024. Additionally, he praised Carissa Willett, Queen Independence recognition at a regional Calypso event. Prime Minister Drew concluded his remarks with an encouraging message: urge young people to harness the opportunities available through education and entrepreneurship and advise against engaging in crime and violence. He underscored that such paths lead to dire consequences, reinforcing that
you have better options, choose them.
Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew has confirmed that the Federation has not been approached by the incoming Trump administration regarding the accommodation of deportees. As U.S. President-elect Donald Trump prepares to assume office on January 20th, his policy proposals continue to spark debate globally. While some initiatives are not expected to materialize, others have attracted significant attention, including his stance on mass deportations of illegal immigrants, a long-standing Republican Party issue.
Something that they have not been questioned about. So he asked the right question. Have we been approached about anything like that? No. So I would say I don't even think about it. I have not even thought about it because there's nothing to think about.
Over the past 4 years, millions of illegal immigrants have crossed the U.S. border, with some being apprehended for various crimes. In light of this, Caribbean leaders have been reportedly notified that they may be asked to house deportees, as several nations have expressed reluctance to accept their nationals. In December, NBC News reported that territories such as Grenada, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and Panama had been approached to accommodate deportees from third-party countries. The Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis acknowledged that his government received such a request but formally declined. In a statement, the Office of the Prime Minister wrote, quote, "This matter was presented to the government of the Bahamas, but was reviewed and firmly rejected by the Prime Minister," end quote. One key reason cited was resource constraints, which made it infeasible for the Bahamas to accommodate the request. Grenada, meanwhile, stated that it had not received any formal proposal from the Trump administration team. Grenada, meanwhile, stated that it had not received any formal request from Trump's transition team. Requests for nations to accommodate deportees are not unprecedented. The outgoing Biden administration reportedly made similar appeals, with Suriname agreeing to assist. As the Trump administration transitions into power, Caribbean nations remain watchful of potential new demands and their implications.
St. Kitts and Nevis is actively working towards achieving CARICOM's significant goal of reducing food imports by 25% by this year. In a recent interview on January 7, 2025, Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew discussed the nation's strategic initiatives in this area despite challenges such as last year's drought, which impacted agricultural productivity.
Let me say that the minister has been working extremely hard with his team to implement this.
Prime Minister Drew stated, highlighting the dedicated efforts being made under his administration. The drought posed additional hurdles for farmers, necessitating a drought recovery program to sustain agricultural output.
As you can see, many farmers got drip lines and covering for the farms and seeds and so forth. That is because we had a few $1 million put towards that.
Although the drought recovery program did not completely resolve the challenges faced by farmers, it nonetheless provided significant support.
It didn't help us totally out of the hole, but it helped significantly.
Establishing a hatchery to ensure sufficient local egg production is among the developmental projects initiated.
I think we are now producing enough eggs.
Furthermore, agriculture diversification has been prioritized with the introduction of banana and pineapple cultivation and the innovative greenhouse village, which enhances farming practices. The Prime Minister elaborated on the Diversified Agricultural Program, stating that the Tabasco initiative aims to develop approximately 100 acres of land for the large-scale growth of various crops.
It is a holistic program where you will see a lot of other crops being grown and large scale.
While the 25% reduction initiative presents immense potential for St. Kitts and Nevis, challenges continue to loom. The drought remains a critical issue affecting yield. As a response, the government has explored additional water sources to supplement the agricultural and drinking water supplies.
We did a survey of St. Kitts and Nevis over the December period to look for water sources because we intend to drill to find more water.
The commitment to achieve the CARICOM target stands firm within the broader context of the region's performance. The Caribbean community, CARICOM, has witnessed contrasting results among its member nations in mitigating food imports. Many countries, burdened by high import bills owing to factors such as reliance on external sources for essential food items, are grappling with similar challenges. CARICOM data highlights that the region's food import bill surpasses US $3.8 billion. This overdependence on imported goods has led to calls for increased local production. In tackling the underlying problems, regional leaders have committed to investing in local agriculture.
We have done tremendous amount of work to get us there.
The employment of substantial funds towards agricultural development indicates a shift towards self-sufficiency within the region. Critically, broader regional cooperations remains essential as St. Kitts and Nevis implements its agricultural initiatives. The focus on fostering intra-regional trade and ensuring food security will be paramount as neighboring nations reduce their import bills substantially. Prime Minister Drew's optimistic outlook, combined with actionable strategies in agriculture, could determine the reshaping of the agricultural landscape while confronting challenges head-on.
The government is still far from fully implementing the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHI, an initiative that has been in the discussion phase for several years. At present, the focus is shifting towards reforms within the Social Security system, which is expected to manage the deductions for those participating in the program. In 2023, Government Advisor on National Health Insurance, Dr. Patrick Martin, confirmed that the framework for the NHI had been completed. The next step lies with the Cabinet, where the documentation, including the actuarial report, is under review.
The National Health Insurance, we need two things. We need Social Security reform. And you can't have National Health Insurance as another major social safety net without taking care of the Social Security matter. Because if you're going to go to the people National Health Insurance, the people have to contribute something from their salaries. It's a given. You cannot have a National Health Insurance plan without contributions from the people. But that is why you have to go to the people and have meaningful discussion with the people so that the people can be on board with giving up some of their salaries and wages towards a national health insurance plan.
Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, speaking at Tuesday's Roundtable event, addressed the ongoing challenges related to Social Security. He noted that the system is currently undergoing reforms to ensure its long-term solvency.
40-something years on, there has been no changes to Social Security. The actual report then said that Social Security would need reform and upgrades periodically to keep it viable and solvent. Fancy words to mean keep it alive. Because nothing was done, at this point in time, the actuary is saying to us that we must act now. If we don't act now, Social Security can be so severely damaged, it will be challenging to get it back to where it is now. So we have to act now. So we have to go to the people with two things. Social Security, I know, has gone to the people already to talk about the reforms and saying to people, if we need Social Security to survive, these are some of the reforms that the experts are recommending.
Despite these discussions, a critical question remains: what will the deductible amount be for individuals across the Federation? The scheme is intended to cover all residents, including those with pre-existing conditions. Reports suggest that the younger working population may bear the financial burden of covering individuals with these conditions. When questioned during the 2023 media engagement about the cost of the NHI, Dr. Martin stated, quote, "In the final analysis, it is how we are going to pay for it. It's an EC 220 million question per year," end quote.
The ball and the can was being kicked down the road all the time. I don't have the luxury that Harris had to kick the can down the road. Did nothing about Social Security. Now it is upon us to do something. So we have to engage the people in two discussions: social security reform and national health insurance, instead of one. So it makes the package now a package that has to be brought to the people, but the package will ask for contribution if that is what the people decide they would do. So it cannot be done by just politicians alone. You need the technicians, the experts, and to take that to the people and let the people weigh in and decide.
A significant challenge facing both the Federation and the NHI program is the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, NCDs. Conditions such as heart disease, hypertension, and cancer remain the leading causes of death in the territory.
So we have everything. I spoke to the actuary recently. Everything now is prepared. Social security went, national health insurance now has to go to the people, and a package has to go to the people to say this is what we'll require from you as contribution to keep social security alive and to bring on national health insurance.
Ongoing discussions will likely continue with public consultation planned to determine the way forward.
A new bus station for the St. Peter's area has long been discussed, and some bus operators have grown wary of the inaction. Prime Minister Honorable Dr. Terence Drew said efforts are underway to provide the bus operators and commuters with a facility for shelter and restrooms, but there has been an issue with acquiring a piece of land that was recommended at College Street Gut. According to Dr. Drew at the January 7 roundtable, the landowner is asking for a price multiple times above the market price, which could potentially cause collateral effects if the government agrees to that cost.
We have approached the private person to purchase land on the College Street area. That evaluation has been done. However, what I'm being told, what is being asked for, is so much greater than the price of the land in that area that I'm being told by the legal persons that if you were to engage in such, you can artificially increase the land price in that area and have other effects. So I want to be transparent with that. We approach a private person to purchase the land, and we are willing to pay even a reasonable amount above the market price. But the price that was being presented was way above market, multiple times, not just an increase, but multiple times the market price for the size of land and the location of the land.
Dr. Drew, who is also the parliamentary representative for the St. Peter's area, said that once a deal is made on the land, the government will proceed to construct the bus station. During a visit to the assembly point for St. Peter's commuters in early December 2024, some bus operators who chose to remain anonymous told WINN FM that they were tired of the empty promises and that they would continue to watch and see what the government would do over the coming months. One bus operator said the recommended land space had been cleared of bush and garbage on several occasions, and pictures had been taken there as though something was about to happen. However, another bus operator was adamant that the St. Peter's bus station would not be mentioned in the 2025 fiscal year budget, which was slated to be presented a few days later. He argued that the authorities were not serious about the matter, as budget after budget had not included a concrete plan for construction. A third bus operator told WINN FM that he thought the station would already be on the way, but he also acknowledged that major projects could take some time to execute. WINN FM briefly spoke to the St. Peter's Bus Association president, who said the government knows the desire and importance of the facility as they have been discussing it. He said the bus operators also asked for several things which were granted, and they appreciated the gestures. He said they will continue to work with the government to see the facility come to fruition.
In the recent roundtable interview on January 7, 2025, Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, passionately addressed concerns over fabricated crime statistics circulating on social media. His statement comes on the heel of a notable decline in homicides across the Federation during and following the 90-day campaign against crime and violence, with reports indicating a drop in crime rates in the last few months. During the interview, Prime Minister Drew expressed his frustration about misleading claims that attempt to distort the reality of crime in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The last thing I want to touch on is the issue of crime. The reason why I want to touch that, there are people out there who want to see murders. You go on Facebook and they vex that no murders taking place. Inventing murders, saying you have 10 unintentional homicides. What is that?
This admonition reflects ongoing tensions in the community concerning how crime statistics are discussed and portrayed. The Prime Minister urged the public to shift their focus towards celebrating the achievements in crime reduction, highlighting that there has been a significant decline in both shootings and homicides, particularly involving young people.
I can't understand how this can be the platform of a political party. You should be celebrating with the country that for the last 4 months we saw a significant decline in shootings and killing of our young people fundamentally. Our young people deserve to live. When they choose life over death, celebrate it. Don't invent numbers and try to spread this bad name, St. Kitts. Can you imagine people online trying to say we have more homicides than we actually had? Can you imagine them online telling people we had 10 unintentional homicides because they want to spread bad news about St. Kitts and Nevis? This is what Times toilet paper is engaging in.
He continued imploring citizens to recognize the positive trend rather than perpetuating negativity. His remarks underscore the impact of false narratives on the perception of safety and order within the Federation. Recent statistics corroborate the Prime Minister's claims, showing that homicides in St. Kitts and Nevis have decreased by more than 70% over previous quarters. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force reported that firearm-related homicides have dramatically decreased, indicating a promising trend toward public safety. Evidence suggests the success of various intervention programs, including the 90-day campaign against crime and violence, which began on September 6, 2024, aimed at addressing the root causes of criminal behavior through community-driven solutions and mental health support. The Prime Minister defended the transformative efforts of law enforcement and community organizations, expressing gratitude to all campaign participants and recognizing their hard work in fostering a safer environment.
And I want to thank the security forces, all those who were involved in the 90-day campaign and so forth, which has brought significant relief for our people. We'll continue to work to keep our people safe, and through the citizen security strategy, we'll continue to implement our plans and our programs.
The Prime Minister urged the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis to reject the spread of misinformation and unite in support of their community's progress.
The young people are choosing life, and let us continue to choose life in a proper way of living.
As St. Kitts and Nevis continue to implement strategic measures through its citizen security strategy, the country is responsible for upholding and celebrating the ongoing progress in combating crime, according to the Prime Minister. This emphasizes the importance of unity and accurate representation in the nation's safety and well-being discourse.
Ras Iroy Pinney protested outside Charlestown Secondary School in Nevis on Tuesday, January 7, 2025, and spoke out against the decision not to adopt the new hairstyle policy for males, which was initiated at the federal level. Ras Iroy has long advocated against the education system's policing of black hair, including locks, and has called for an end to this discrimination. He believes all children have a right to grow and wear their hair in natural hairstyles, regardless of gender.
A wrong thing the school are doing, fighting against the youth them and the rights, fighting against human rights. The Constitution said freedom of education. No child should be left out. Every child has a right to education. And how you got girls in the long hair and boys got to cut their hair? That's a sexist rule. Can't got one rule for boys and a separate rule for girls. Fire! And judgment we call for the system, you know? We don't stand for the youth, them asking all parents, do not cut your boys here, you don't have to. It is against the law to make you cut your hair. That's a basic right. You born with hair, your hair will grow. You know? This thing about cutting hair is a colonial slavish mentality. Cut all the slaves them here, make them look young, they make more money. We done with that. All them inside there with the long braids and all kind of thing and making the youth them cut the hair. Turning this place into a kind of Batman system. Fire! Fire! You don't stand up for justice, you know? Yeah, man.
On August 31, 2023, Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, the Minister of Education, declared that the government agreed on an updated hair policy for school-aged children to create an inclusive and respectful environment that promotes diversity and self-expression in line with school standards. The Ministry of Education also believed the move would safeguard against discrimination while maintaining safety and professional appearance. The second of 9 guidelines states, quote, traditional haircuts, natural locks, afros, and cornrows are permitted for male and female students, unquote. But the guidelines were not fully implemented on the island of Nevis. Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, is pleading to the farming community in the Prospect area and users of the Nevis Athletic Stadium to be more responsible in their actions. Brantley, on January 5, 2025, argued that millions were spent on the facility to enhance sports on the island, but the facility seemingly became a grazing area for animals because of irresponsibility.
These are sheep and goats from the local farmers in the neighborhood who absolutely refuse to control their animals and continue to be irresponsible. Now they're on the field, in field. When that happens, they defecate, they do all things there. Infield ends up with kosher and weeds as a result of this. Now, what are we supposed to do as a government? And why is it our people can't respond to the appeals that continue to be made to them to act responsibly? Should $1 million establishment like this really have animals grazing on it every day? Farmers are cutting the fence to allow their animals to come inside here. Is this right? And these are some of the frustrations that we have. And when we talk, people get upset.
The Nevis Athletics Stadium is open for use by the general public. It is used daily for people who wish to exercise. However, Brantley shared the view that some people who use the facility refuse to close the gates when they enter or leave, thus giving the animals easy access to the facility. All around, we need more responsible behavior, the Premier stated. The Premier captured and published the footage of the animals grazing at the facility, which garnered much public attention. Some people suggested impounding the animals, butchering them, or instituting a legislative framework inclusive of fines to address the issue. Brantley declared, quote, "We cannot and will not be able to build the Nevis we all want if some of our people continue to behave irresponsibly and to cause harm and inconvenience to others by their behavior. A word to the wise should be enough," unquote. Hundreds of messages of condolences have flooded social media as people from all walks of life and origins honor the life of a young fallen star, Malachi Ferguson. Many people associate Ferguson with the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, SCNIPA, where he served as vice president and as a general member. Deputy Prime Minister Geoffrey Hanley, in tribute to Ferguson, said, quote, "I extend my heartfelt sympathies to the family of my fallen SCNIPA son, Malachi Ferguson. Malachi was a young man who made significant contributions to nation building during his active tenure in the group. We are better as a people for the positive impact of his life. My prayers are with his relatives and all who mourn his passing, including his St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association family," unquote. Hassani MacDonald, SCNIPA's president, remembered Ferguson for his excellence in youth empowerment and leadership. Quote, "Even while pursuing his studies at UWI Cave Hill campus, Malachi found time to lend his support. He was only a call away," MacDonald said. He added, quote, "Malachi Ferguson's passing is a tremendous loss for our association. His absence will be deeply felt by all of us who had the privilege of working alongside him and witnessing his remarkable contributions," unquote. Ferguson, at the time of his passing, was pursuing a Bachelor of Law degree, which he commenced in 2023. He was also the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Students Association at UWI Cave Hill campus. Attorney General Garth Wilkin recalled his first encounter with Ferguson in 2020 and since then remained in communication with him. The Attorney General recalled, quote, "I met Malachi in October 2020 when he was a student at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College as his mooting coach for a Bar Association mock trial held that November during Law Week. We stayed in touch since then, particularly in his role as a key member of SCNIPA, for which he was passionate and dedicated. In fact, My first non-governmental public speaking event as Attorney General was on his personal invitation at Sniper Town Hall. Less than 2 months ago, he wrote to me in his capacity as president of the St. Kitts Nevis Student Association at UWI Cave Hill to collaborate on an initiative he had planned, and we discussed him interning at the Attorney General's office. Needless to say, his sudden and untimely passing has shaken me to the core. Life really is fleeting. We must learn from lessons like this, of lives taken away too soon, to live life to its fullest and to focus on positivity and prayer, as long life isn't guaranteed. To Malachi's family and friends, my thoughts and prayers are with you. He didn't live long, but his impact will endure in the hearts of the many lives he touched, including mine. He will never be forgotten, the Attorney General said. Malachi Ferguson passed away on January 4, 2025. His memories live on in the hearts of many.
With the busy Christmas carnival season now behind us, many residents in the Federation are reassessing their budgets as they prepare their New Year's resolutions. While some enjoy the festivities within their means, others found themselves overspending during the holiday season. Terence Martin, host of Money Matters on WINN FM, offered financial advice for the year ahead while reflecting on the recent holiday period.
I think 2025 is our year to take control of our finances and build these futures we deserve, right? You know, financial success isn't luck. It's a result of small, consistent decisions that align with your goals. So we have to first start by, what are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? So start today with intention. All right, the country is officially opened after Sugar Mass, so let's start today with intention. So whether it's setting clear goals, embracing small wins, or thinking creatively about money, this year, don't just survive, thrive. Right, we have to make 2025 prosperous. And
Dr. Martin emphasized the importance of financial literacy and suggested that it is time for everyone to come together, save for a rainy day, and plan their finances more carefully.
There's several things that I discussed on the recent episode that we could do. We could start community, come together and discuss financial topics as a group, because as a group, Paul might see something different than Sarah, and Sarah might see something different than John, but together we could help each other. And there's going to be a lot of found money this year in St. Kitts from what the government put out, the stimuluses from the budget. So with found money, we have to assign a goal to this money. It cannot be, yes, I got $250, I'm going to spend it on this. No, let's have a intentionality is the key here. Let's have a goal. 125 is going to go towards reducing this debt. 125, I want to invest, I want to save, I want to travel next year. 125 could go towards that.
The university professor is firm in his belief that people must prioritize their financial well-being and focus on saving, especially in the face of economic uncertainty.
A 1% rule. Just be 1% better next month than you were this month. So if you saved $100 in January, save $101 in February. Simple so. It doesn't have to be grand for it to be successful. And leverage technology to visualize where we are, right? If you want to be more analog, you could do a vision board party like I suggested, get some images of the life you want. But most importantly as well, I like to set a financial mission statement, a money mission statement. So my money mission statement is, I prioritize financial freedom so I can travel the world, take care of my family, and retire comfortably. Of my paycheck, I think I save like 40%, right? And I know that's not going to be possible for everybody. But if you could save 1%.
While the Christmas carnival season is often a time when people invest in improving their homes and ensuring their children have the best, Dr. Martin cautioned that it is important to stay mindful of challenges ahead. As the world continues to grapple with inflation, St. Kitts and Nevis is not immune to global economic shocks. The country remains heavily dependent on the United States for food and on the global community for the Citizenship by Investment program for revenue.
Let's do this. Pay yourself first. You get paid, pay yourself first. I had a colleague whose mom had cancer, and it cost thousands of dollars, right? But she still maintained saving $5 every month because that built habit. So it's all about intentionality. It's all about incremental change. And it's all about community. And that's how, as Black people in the Caribbean, we can survive. Because you know what? If you don't do it, it's going to be done to you. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's the way we're going to approach 2025 with intentionality. And Money Matters, myself as the host, will be right here to guide you.
Despite its efforts to reassure the public about its initiatives, the Ministry of Health is once again under fire in the Federation for concerns regarding healthcare quality and the treatment of doctors. Over the weekend, several critical social media posts highlighted the government's handling of healthcare professionals, prompting a response from the ministry. In a press statement, the ministry stated, quote, "The Ministry of Health, St. Kitts and Nevis continues its commitment to improving healthcare in the Federation. A key factor in this process is the strategic expansion of our medical team and expertise. This process is anchored by the practice of all appointments being guided by rigorous standards to ensure patient safety, compliance with professional regulations, and alignment with our healthcare objectives," end quote. This comes after 2 medical practitioners who recently returned from studies abroad criticized the challenges they have faced in practicing medicine in the Federation. In response, the Ministry of Health outlined several of its recent achievements, including the recruitment of more specialist personnel, the advancement of nursing expertise, and plans for further expansion of medical care. These developments align with our strategic objective to attain international accreditation for our ICU services, ensuring that our health care delivery meets global standards, end quote. WINN FM attempted to contact Jensen Morton, Director of Health Institutions in the Ministry of Health, for further comments, but he was unavailable up to news time. Previously, Morton had highlighted several changes made at the Joseph N. France General Hospital as part of the government's effort to modernize the facility. The ministry noted that, quote, "All individuals applying for medical work in the Federation must be approved and certified by the medical board, particularly specialists in their specific fields, before being granted full employment or hospital privilege," end quote.
You are listening to the Week in Review here on WINN FM 98.9. Thank you for listening and have a productive week.